So, how are you?
I am good, thank you very much. How are you today?
I'm not too bad. I'm all yoghurt.
You're all yogurt.
I've yoghurt myself.
Nice. I have not yogurt myself, but I have made scones and bread.
Both.
Both.
Yeah, well done. Well done, you.
Oh, thanks. Eating bread, living my life.
Yeah.
Show title.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
As a bit of follow-up, I received some beautiful messages from people during the week, and I particularly liked my nieces, Ruby. She said, "I love you, Simon." She just listened to last week's episode. And then also from Finn, my nephew, "Just so you know, Simon, it will never be a burden for me if you need help."
Oh, that's really lovely.
It is, isn't it?
I similarly got some people reaching out. The ubiquitous Mandy and Sue.
Yeah. Why are you? That's a bit unfair. I'm not sure if I were Mandy and Sue, I'd take kindly to being called ubiquitous.
Really?
Yeah.
I think in this particular instance, I would be very, very happy to be ubiquitous. The ever faithful, ever present.
Mm-hmm. Top of the spreadsheet.
I mean, they pretty much wrote the spreadsheet.
As they say in Italy, numero uno.
Numero uno. Yes, but they don't say it quite like that.
I'm sure.
No. I'm saying that with such confidence, but I've only been to Italy a handful of times.
That's great. That's nice. So, yeah, how's my week been? I'm, pretty up and down. I'm just kind of just sort of soldiering away at work and trying not to get too depressed by that. And, just try.
Is there anything that you can tell us about why that would be, why there is the potential for depression?
At work?
At work, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to make it about me, but if I were just to make it about me,
go on, why not?
Okay.
Why break the habit of a podcast?
Okay, that's enough about you. Let's talk about me. I got that totally wrong. Bette Midler. Do you know where I'm at? Do you know where I'm at with that?
No, I have no idea. Why you just said
That's enough about me. Let's talk about you. What do you think of me? That's Bette Midler from, I think it's Steel Magnolia? I always confuse it with the movie by...
Bette Midler's not in Steel Magnolias.
It's not?
No, Bette Midler, I mean, Dolly Parton's in Steel Magnolias, Julia Roberts, Sally Field, off the top of my head, Olympia Dukakis.
All of them, except...
They're in it, but pretty sure that Bette Midler is not in Steel Magnolias. Steel Magnolias is sort of in the deep south. It's not really a place that you'd expect to encounter Bette Midler. She's in the First Wives Club. She's in Hocus Pocus. And of course, she's in The Rose, which is an excellent kind of concert film from the 70s. But yeah, pretty confident that she's not in Steel Magnolia. I might be wrong. Duck, duck, go.
I'm not duck, duck, go.
Check it out.
I did a quick little search then to see if I could find what film it was, but it's just that thing is all over the internet. It's so I'm not going to. I might for the show notes, if this makes it, track down its provenance. Always confused with Providence. Where was I? Oh, yes. I don't want to make this about me, but it's just this slight feeling that, say if the university decided we gotta cut some people here, which let's face it, it's not out of the it's not a stretch to imagine that. That I'd be...
You mean universities cutting art subjects at the moment?
Yeah, I mean,
are you crazy? Why would they do that?
Not like a ferry company or anything like that, but
Oh Jesus, that is.
Oh no,
that was pretty fucking brutal, wasn't it?
pretty intense. Yeah.
And then I came home. I heard about it while I was away, and came home to Bob. And I think one of the first things I said was, "So why can we not just put sanctions against P&O and not let them park, just like the Norwegians are doing with the Russian oligarchs?" And Bob said, "I suspect it's probably because half the government have shares." And they won't want that to happen. Yeah.
Greed. Yeah.
Was that agreed or greed?
That was greed. I was just thinking greed.
Yeah.
It was just like
Pure greed.
what's that? I love that Buddhist idea. I forget what they call them, the three something or others. But
Is that? Are you thinking about the three poisons?
thank you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Did you look that up, or you knew?
No, I'm a yoga dude.
Oh, you are.
These are things that people say in my earshot.
And you absorb them. Anything that you want, greed. Just call it greed. Doesn't matter what it is that you want. Just call it greed. Anything that you're trying to push away, hatred. And I think the other one's delusion. Greed, hatred, delusion. Like it's really kind of clear. I like the sort of clarity of it, the conciseness of. So to go back to me.
Subject normal.
Ow!
I was joking. Everybody knows subject normal here is dicks.
We normally cut them out, though. Let's face it. It's quite.
Yeah,
it's
I know,
a little
but
painful.
I was
under anaesthetic. Thank you,
out.
Dr. Corbett.
I was reading about dicks this week, which I'd like to circle back to.
It's just the whole circling back to dicks. Anyway. So, actually, my mother used to say, anyway, as a way to stop talking about something. Anyway.
And then there's no, that was just like a full stop.
Yeah, it was like, it was a little bit like, well, people, that's how life is. But it was a little bit more, I can't keep talking about that. Anyway.
So I have a friend who he would go, da-da-da, bored now, which is really good. So you would get a little fanfare and then the phrase bored now. And then eventually the bored now was dropped and it would just be go, da-da-da. And that was an indication that the topic had been used up and we should move on. And he is one of the most polite human beings in the world. But that was a moment where all politesse fled from his body.
Politesse, listen to you. You're
Bored
rocking.
now. Okay.
So it actually just
Back
reminds
to
me,
you.
I remember being in a artistic process and I was what was I? I was like the dramaturg / video person and lovely / that one. And I was working with, I think, 6 women. So I was the only boy. And we used to come in and someone say, "How are you?" And it would the "How are you?" The responses to the "How are yous" would take a good hour to an hour and a half every morning, like, because things were going on in people's lives, like serious stuff, like big stuff, and we realized that it was slightly dysfunctional in terms of, let's say, the project actually making anything.
Yeah.
And so we devised a system which was just a 1 to 7 system. How are you? 7. So
I like that.
I know. I can't remember whether 7 was really good or really bad, but I have a feeling it was really good. 1 being very bad. And it just became a bit of a joke. I
like that. I like that a lot. I'm thinking about employing the Bristol stool chart as a way to articulate my mood to other people.
I think it's been a long time since you talked about the Bristol stool chart. I think it's been more than a year, so I'm glad that you've circled back to that before circling back to...
Circling back to dicks.
But can I circle back to me? Because I haven't finished.
I would be so disappointed if we didn't spend some time on you.
There's a lot of circling back. It's a little weird. It's actually dizzying.
Is it... For a contemporary dancer such as yourself, this is a form I would think was deeply embedded in your body.
Depends on which way the circles are going. If they're to the right,
just remember to spot. For goodness sake, Simon, you call yourself a professional.
I remember being on stage and someone whacked my nose and I got a bleeding nose whilst trying to do all these turns and there was blood spraying. Have we talked about this before? I'm sure we have.
I have a feeling that we have, because then I said that
Yes.
Akram Khan sweated into my mouth.
Yes, you did. So just cut this bit
Because
out.
he was spinning like a little fucker.
So yeah, sorry about the blood splattering on the. So I had this feeling that if the university were to subjunctive, if they were to cut some people, that I'd be high on the list. I wouldn't be one of the ones that are going, should we or shouldn't we? I reckon I would be. Yep, get rid of that dude.
What makes you feel that?
I just don't think I don't think I am doing the job the university wants me to do.
Okay, so this is interesting, because that means you are not making a claim there that you are not good. You are not making a claim that you are not capable.
No.
Or even efficient, but just that what you are pursuing is not in step with what the larger institution is concerned with.
Yes, I think that's how I would. I mean, it's pretty simple in the sense that because my job really, amongst other things, is to bring in money to the university.
Yeah.
And I have woefully failed at that. And so, yeah, I think that and I do all sorts of other things, which are probably quite good. But on that particular, let's call it, what's that acronym?
I have no idea where we're going with.
Something about
PCP, Angel Dust. Sorry, that's a deep Trading Places cut there for anybody who's
any
worried.
Trading Places cut is a deep one.
My name is Inga from Sweden, Järfälla. Please to help me with my rucksack.
Stop it.
I don't know. What is
No,
the
it's
acronym?
personal. No, what is it? Those things, and you have,
Oh,
indicate-
PDP. I was close.
No, what was it? What did you say?
PDR.
No.
PDR, Personal Development Review, that one.
No, I was
No?
thinking about measures, some kind of measure of. There's a.
Oh, God. I don't know what
Yeah, you
what
do.
letters
Anyway,
you
it's
want me
just
to
hilarious.
come up with.
It's so hilarious that I can't remember it. That's actually my relationship with acronyms per se, in general. But yeah, so I think that on that measure, I am failing woefully. I'm costing the university. I'm costing the university money. So yeah, I think they'd go, let's save some money.
What does that? How does that make you feel?
Well, not great. A little,
No,
a little worthless.
right. Because I was wondering, did it make you feel like? Because it also might make you feel quite cross.
Oh,
In the sense that you know that you're doing a good job for the people that you work alongside of and that you are effectively supporting. And then there is that sense that, so now I'm also, the metric by which you're being judged might frustrate you.
yeah.
But then if, yeah.
I don't feel cross. Yeah, no, it's more a little bit vulnerable. Yeah, I mean, worthless is a little strong. Like, it is a little strong. Let's be clear, because I've worked in universities long enough to
know that there's some really shocking people who are shit at everything but still seem to manage to rise to the top.
That's not what I was going to say, but if you just let me finish, no. Yeah, I've worked in universities long enough to know that they're, the sort of bureaucratic aspects are pretty intense, and it's very easy to get caught up in. It would be, or it is, or was very easy to get caught up in those things, and for them to become to dominate your perception of what the hell's going on. And so, I got reasonably good at not doing that. But yeah, I just have that slight feeling that, it feels difficult. Yeah.
And I don't want this to become like a massive record scratch, because we are in a very sort of silly mood in this particular moment. But hearing you say worthless, it's difficult not to just pause and reflect for a moment on where we were last week, and just kind of thinking that at this particular point in our lives, in our middle age, that sense of not necessarily feeling like the things that we are doing are valued or sustainable or sustaining is something that it is actually worthwhile speaking out loud.
I don't think it's a record scratch at all. Yeah, I don't.
Is that like a tickle, or is it an itch, or is it a pain? Just trying to think about sensation-wise where that is. And I'm not asking you to answer that question for me now.
Yeah.
But just I'm hearing you say that, and obviously I'm on the cusp of moving from one institution to another. So it's almost as if I'm running ahead of that feeling.
Yeah, oh, that's interesting, isn't it? I think this is one of the things. Maybe this is even a deeper. I'm also recognizing that we need to circle back to dicks, just to be clear. But
God, God forbid we should forget that.
This is very tricky to say, Lee. And maybe we've touched on this before, but it's one of those things about the way in which children give worth to one's life. Yeah, and I guess what I mean is that if I had children, for example, and all things were in my sort of sense of value at work, and I could say, or in my life, in the sense that what has my life been, or how is my life? Then I go, well, I've got these people, these young people to support and nurture. These are the best things that have happened to me. These are the best things, and that kind of thinking. And I wonder if this is something that needs to be cut out, or what when you're, I'm interested in that sound you made.
I think the noise that I make there is recognizing that there is more than a small amount of truth in that, and I'm not sure that having children gives you purpose. I think having children allows you to forget that you are without purpose. You will be, as redundant as I am now. It's just you're just forestalling that sense of obsolescence.
Isn't that word redundant in the context of both the little and the capital R? Isn't it? What a word to use when you're
Yeah. And it is just a feeling, though, isn't it? Because none of us are more or less important than anybody else. Oh, God, I hate all this conversation, and I'm just going to cut it all out.
Are you really?
It's just, I don't know. I really don't know.
So I don't. We really did tangent off. That was something about. Yeah, it's kind of a conversation about worth, isn't it?
I think it is.
And that's and the flip side, of course, is that the curious thing is that I understand that one of the pleasures, I might say, in my life is just making things, just making things. That doesn't have to be, and increasingly labeling them art is, I find that absurd and annoying, even though mostly that's how they would be labelled, how others would choose to label them. And maybe I've chosen, and I certainly have in the past, but maybe I'm still, in a way, framing them in that way. But that feels very different, that kind of sense of developing craft and ability and skill, doing something while, making something or making things, seems to me a world away from that sort of feeling of worthlessness that I discussed at the beginning. So it's not that it's all one thing and not the other. It's much more, I guess, like in anything really, it's much more mangled and messed up, and bits of this and then going back to this and feeling like that and then swooping back, that kind of, I guess, to reassure you, it's not oppressive, the feeling, but just like a sneaky little, like just in the corner of my mind, as we say, as if our minds have corners.
Are you ready for dicks yet?
I'm always ready for. By the way, just for those of our beautiful and I'm going to say it, ugly listeners who have been screaming at their, I don't know, iPod things.
Because it's 2007.
No, I meant they're things that stick in their ears. What are they called? Headphones. Anyway, have been screaming. KPI is the acronym. KPI.
Key Performance Indicator.
Exactly.
I love that.
I'm just
not to be confused with the KPT.
No. keep a...
Knowledge partnership transfer.
Wow. I hate you as much as you must hate yourself in this moment.
Oh, you've no idea how much I hate myself right now.
So let's bring back the dicks.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if you have noticed that dicks have started to turn up on screens in mainstream fodder a lot more of late.
Oh, I have not
Have you noticed? Okay, so
what
if you
is
go
this
and watch
mainstream
something like...
fodder that you watch?
I mean, like...
Oh, you mean actual... you mean not just drawings of
I mean,
them?
like... No. I mean, dicks on TV and dicks in films. So there's the HBO series Euphoria, which was famed for a big dick scene with as in a multiple dick scene, not as in a large dick scene. Although I will come back to size. A multiple dick scene in a locker room. There was also...
Hang on, Euphoria, is that the one about the...
Zendaya's in it.
Doesn't help. Is it about a teenage girl with drug addiction?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the first series.
That's the one, yeah. So you will know from the first series there is a scene with multiple penises.
Oh, the teenager in me right now is just... I'm really trying not to laugh too much, lest I sound like an absolute... Well, let's face it. Dick.
Okay, so there's that. There's also Tommy and Pam, or Pam and Tommy, the series that's on... I think it's on Disney Plus in this, which I found really odd. I mean, it's on Disney Plus here in the UK.
See Tinkerbell sort of spraying sprinkle dust at the beginning of the...
Yeah, that has Tommy... Motley Crue drummer man, can't remember his name, but he's a character.
That's kind of about the internet in a way, isn't it? It's about the sort of...
It is. It's about the internet.
It's
It's about the birth of the first viral video of the Tommy and Pam Muller Anderson sex tape. Yeah, and his dick features, I think, quite heavily in the second episode.
The show title is just you're basically thrusting show titles at me right now.
There's also a couple of films. There's one coming out called X by Ty West.
Oh yes,
Ty West is a really good director who makes... You wouldn't probably have seen any of his work because he's a horror film director, and he makes films in a territory called mumblegore.
I read about X this morning, but I hadn't.
Okay. So that's exploring. Yeah, it does. That's exploring kind of 70s, 80s porn. And there's also another film. No, maybe it's a TV show that I can't quite remember the name of it. That's also about the porn industry. Anyway, the point being, there are many, many, many more penises being
displayed.
Displayed. And there's been quite a lot written about how great this is to suddenly be seeing naked men.
Yeah.
And there was, I think in the one of the things that I read, so probably The Guardian or something like that, there was a big write-up about the market for prosthetic penises. That people are making prosthetic penises for these shows. And that led to somebody else, and I can't remember who wrote it, and I'm sorry, but I will find it, and it will be in the show notes, who wrote a really interesting sort of rebuttal to the idea of the apparent presence of male nudity. Because as this writer said, they're not naked. They're in costume. Because nothing is being exposed. They're wearing prosthetic penises. And I think the kind of the example par excellence would be Sebastian Stan as Tommy Motley Crue drummer man, who has...
I don't remember his name either.
No,
Tommy Lee.
Oh, Jesus Christ, you would think I'd remember that, wouldn't you?
It's right, isn't it?
So yeah, it's like one of my names. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
anyway, Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
He has, in the second episode, he has an extended conversation with his penis. And the penis talks back to him. So it is a puppet, but it's a puppet that he's wearing. So it's evidently a prosthetic penis. And while absolutely Sebastian Stan is naked except for this prosthesis, we're not seeing Sebastian Stan naked. And what this writer goes on to say is, what it does is it asserts a type of manhood and a type of masculinity, and it effectively is doing the same thing as porn, which is just showing us penises that are at the upper end of the spectrum, because the majority of people are around about the 5.8 inches. That's the national average.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I just love that you know that.
We see aberrant dicks being, oh, we don't position them as aberrant. We don't go gross aberrations of 7.5 inches plus being thrown at screens. Anyway,
this is amazing.
Bored now. Hey there, midlifers. So, Lee here. It's the day after we recorded the pod. We record on a Saturday, and I usually edit during the Saturday. And then on a Sunday morning, when I'm walking Jeffrey, I listen back to the episode just to see how it flows and to see how things land once I've stopped messing around with the chopping up bit. So here I am, out with Jeffrey on a beautiful Sunday morning, listening to the episode, and I suddenly thought to myself, I don't want anybody listening to this who perhaps has a larger penis thinking, I find you aberrant. I want you to know, I am sure I would find your penis beautiful, whether it's 4.5 inches, 7.5 inches, 10.5 inches, 2.5, whatever. I just want everybody to love their bodies in whatever size, shape, or organisation of body you have. Yeah, so I just wanted to just jump in here and be very clear with you all. I am not interested in shaming anybody for the flesh they occupy. Much love and enjoy your day.